So, are we doing everything we can to make music income? I mean, I know you may be focusing on making stock music and breaking into Motion Array or Artlist, or you might be focused on getting music into TV and film and advertising via sync, or you might be focused on getting all your music to Spotify and playing that DSP game and the Spotify for Artists game and building that. Or maybe you're making beats or video game music or running video channels to promote your music and on and on. But what if for every song you did everything? Well, welcome to the Make Music Income podcast. My name is Eric Copeland of MakeMusicIncome.com, and I am here with Stephen Bedall of the Production Music Academy, and we are going to be talking about this today. Now, those of you making a good living, focusing on one or a few of those things, may be set. And like if you're a trailer composer, and that's a lot of work. Maybe that's all you do, and you're focused on that one thing, and that's fine. Or maybe you're a teacher, and that's your main focus or something. Mm-hmm. And you can't imagine adding anything else to your schedule. But what if you could? Well, what if you could? What if you? Or I used to watch a show where it was Rob Lowe starred in it, and he was a lawyer and he was an actor, and they would say you can't just be an actor and also then that plays a lawyer and then come in and actually be a lawyer. And he goes, but what if you could? And he would say that to every question. It would just make everybody so mad. So what if you are a bit slower and struggle to produce just one song at a time? Well, that strategy we're kind of going to talk about today. And this might help you with that strategy, and just see what you think about this. But first, here's my friend Steve, and he is way too busy to do all the music things, but he still tries his little heart out.
I try, I tried. I do the best I can. I got a little checklist ready for today's podcast. I'm like, what are all the things that I can do for one song? I know there's a lot more than what I currently do, which is a lot. But, like you said, it's probably not enough in some sense. I could be doing better. We could always be doing better. I could always be, better at managing my time. That's for sure. But yeah, man, you know what? I'm not as busy as I was the last time I spoke to you. I think last time we chatted, I was a bit stressed out because I was about to head out to do a wedding gig, which I did last weekend, and it all went really, really well. And I took a few extra days out in the country. We rented a little cabin, my wife and I and the band, and we just relaxed for a couple days, and it was beautiful. Stayed by a lake, rented a boat, got out in the lake, did some swimming, just relaxed, man, and I feel so much better now that I'm back. And you know what? The summer craziness is dying down a little bit, so I'm really looking forward to September. I'm looking forward to getting things done. Man, I got a lot of great content up ahead for the YouTube channel, for the Production Music Academy. I just released my synthwave course today, just went live this morning. And I got a new synthwave track that was approved on Motion Array today. That was the same track for the course. You know what? I just checked in with TikTok. I don't look at TikTok very often, but I've been trying to, I don't know if you noticed, I've been trying to be a little bit more consistent with my social media presence lately. I've been trying to make shorts, like little, reels and stuff for Instagram and that kind of thing. And
if I'm in them, I'm putting them on my stories, so I'm pushing them. So
I'm just trying to get better. I'm trying to get more consistent. I've been really struggling with that this year, and I've been noticing a difference. The TikTok followers are going up, and I'm having fun making the content too. So it's cool. I'm hoping that
I don't mind
translate
making that content. I like doing that too, but I totally failed at it last week, and I haven't got to it this week because I've been so. And this might again be trying to put too much stuff on YouTube. Yeah, not being able to those. I still have a question: if TikTok and Instagram move, what needle they move?
Yeah, we'll see. It remains to be seen. I think the potential's there for it, and that's why I'm trying to do it. And I'm just trying to embrace it, because I think what stopped me from getting consistent about it before is just the idea that it's too much work, it's too much hassle. I'm just trying to get quick with it, spend half an hour getting content ready for the week, or just for a couple posts, and I'm trying to not overthink it. That's my my whole thing right now. So anyway, I have noticed an increase in followers on TikTok for what it's worth. And man, I don't know. I'm writing a ton of new music this month. That's my goal. Since I'm not having to go out of town or do things every weekend, have a little bit more time on my hands. So yeah, I'm focused on that. I have more gigs coming up in September, but they're all in town. And that's pretty much it. I just got another top 20 month on Motion Array, so it's still doing well for me. I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, I'm starting a new project with Artlist this month. I think it's like, I don't really know much about it because I haven't been actually sent the official brief yet for it, but or the production guide for it. But it's I think the music manager said it was going to be like dark chill wave or something like that. So I'm not really sure what to expect, but I'm excited to start it. I'm glad they don't get me writing the exact same thing every time. It's something new every time. I'm like, cool. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it for me, man.
Let's before I start my update, could we talk about Motion Array for just a second? And because I'm moving. Part of what I'm going to talk about is a lot of the music that I'm making over the rest of this year, but none of it I don't think is going to move the needle for my account on Motion Array. And one thing it might be interesting to do a show on sometime is talking about, and I don't know how much you want to share income, like your Artlist video where it was very like income sharing. If you want to share like 2022 Motion Array like income and why you saw great big months. I think people need to know that those months exist for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could talk about mine because I'm thinking about, other than the music I want to do, which is Halloween, Christmas, I'll get to that in a minute, but I want to do one killer corporate / up-tempo thing to move the needle at Motion Array. But my question is, am I too pigeonholed already? And so this might be a whole podcast topic for us to do, to talk about the difference between the way I do it and maybe other people do it and the way you do it and other people do it who are making more, who aren't putting up anything they want. They're putting up focused stuff that they know will do well. And is your channel, is your persona at Motion Array already like set for that versus mine, which they know is all these other things? And so do you think it's possible that they might be more inclined to put up people who are usually making a certain genre and they know that's going to work versus a person who just says, I'm going to make a genre tune like that along with all the other genres that I do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely a worthy topic of discussion for like a whole episode. There's so much to say about it, and I don't really, and like in terms of what's going on behind the scenes there, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying maybe we find some other examples, some other people who are making because I know how much I make, which is in the low hundreds, and I know how much you make, and you could look at your average and say, okay, my average for the year is around this every month, or you don't have to say a number. You could say mid thousand or whatever it is. You could say that, or maybe it's just 1,000 or whatever it is. You could just give a kind of a nebulous number, and we could find a few other people.
Yeah.
And get a few other people who are making, maybe we could just find like people barely making $100, people making only about, $500, maybe people make 1,000, maybe people make 1,500, maybe 2,000 as far as average, and find out, look at the styles they're doing and their background. That just might be an interesting topic, I think.
That would be an interesting topic. We could do that next episode if you want. It actually,
especially since it'd be on your channel and you're killing it there, so it'd be good to.
Yeah, I'm down to talk about it more, and it's I think it's it's one of these libraries that's interesting to a lot of people just because it is still paying out some significant amount of money to certain people, and I certainly don't have any qualms about talking about the income that I make there. We could definitely dive further into it on the next podcast episode. That'd be great.
All right, so let me talk about what I've been doing this week besides clients and teaching and online and off teaching. I did 3 videos last week. I've done 2 videos this week.
On a roll.
And yeah, well, I just feel like that the YouTube channel is. I am not someone like yourself or Dave or people who are running communities. So, I mean, it's a community. I have the Discord,
of course, yeah.
And although that you started that, but we have the Discord. But I just I think I'm just going to do a different thing where I just provide a lot of content and then the ebook thing or possibly courses. But that's going to be my way to kind of to go with my channel.
Totally.
But I really want to grow it, and I'm serious about growing it. And it's growing fast. It's still growing fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's still growing at a rate of about 10% per month. And so I want that to continue. I want to reach out to bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger YouTubers to grow this because, this brand is so wide. The whole income thing is
Mm-hmm.
that's why I started it. I didn't want it to be just licensing, sync licensing and stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. And Dave should focus on that because he teaches it and he does it,
Yeah.
as far as and specifically cues for television,
Yeah. Yeah.
and things like that. He's got a specific genre he pitches to. And you're really tied into a few things that you do, but mine is all over the place, kind of on purpose, and so that just makes sense for me to do. But all that being said, I want to grow the channel, and I've been working on it. But I delivered the country album to my BMG library this week. I just sent the drop boxes this morning, and
Nice.
I'm trying to figure out what's next, what he wants from me next. He had talked about Pop Christmas, but it's September now, so we might be a little late for Christmas tunes at this time. I'd kind of rather do something like Jazz Christmas or more Halloween/Christmas stuff like I did last year. I've got some ideas for some vocal Halloween Christmas, Nightmare Before Christmas type stuff.
Yeah.
That's for dark Christmas movies, dark Christmas TV shows, where they're Christmas carols, but they're in minor keys and things like that.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
And to be honest, that one that I did of Jingle Bells last year, it's called Jingle Skells. It's called March of the Skeletons. Yeah, Jingle Skells. But that's the one that's on that YouTube video that's getting almost heading towards 1 million views and making me $50 a month. Although
Right.
content I identify has been pretty slow with the June.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. I'd be checking in every now and then. I'm just like, when are they gonna post June?
It's September 1st, and we haven't seen
I know
June
what's
numbers
going on.
yet.
I don't understand.
I don't know. So anyway, because I'd really like to know, because that helps the month, the overall month.
I know. I
But
can't wait to see it.
so, like I said, I think besides doing that new holiday music that I want to just jump into, I love Halloween music and I love Christmas music. And so, and people have been challenging me to do Thanksgiving music, although I don't know what music for Thanksgiving would sound like. Would it be a turkey, gobbling or something? I don't know.
I'm sure you can find a turkey
songs.
sample out there somewhere. Go to freesounds.com and get that
Maybe I'll
turkey.
just make sounds of people eating a Thanksgiving dinner.
Gross. No one wants to hear that.
Anyway, I am doing lots of things, and I just did a live video that by the time this airs will have already been on for a few days, called 9 experiments in September that I'm doing, or for September. And so you can look at all those things there. I'm starting my new ebook on sync. I'm sending more songs to distribution. I've got more singles rolling out to Spotify,
Nice.
more sheet music, more everything. And speaking of more everything, that's really today's topic, is how can you do everything? I mean, and when I say everything, we've done podcasts about this before, but I don't mean everything like you're going to be doing trailers, doing stock music, doing sync licensing, doing live concerts, doing all this kind of stuff. Now, all that said, you do 3 or 4 of those that I just talked about. But at the same time, I'm talking about, especially this goes out to people who are working on one song at a time.
Yeah.
And they're not cranking out albums at a time. They're working on a song. Maybe it's taking them 2 weeks. Maybe it's taking them 3 weeks. Maybe it takes them a month to work on a song. And taking that one song and then doing all the things that are possible to do with that song. And I have a list, and you have a list. Mine kind of just goes.
Oh, I don't have a
from
list. I'm gonna write a list based on and what you suggest, and then I'm gonna try to think of more things to add to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious what your list is. I'm probably gonna learn something here.
All right. Well, my first part of my list, the first thing is register. And I think this is the first thing that I do is I kind of do it in concert with putting my songs up to libraries. But I think the first thing to do is go ahead and register it to your PRO. Unless
Right.
the only reason you would not register a song to your PRO once you've written it and or have it ready is if you are going to specifically know you're going to the sync world. Because in that
That's right.
way, I mean, you still can and it won't hurt you, but they prefer that it not be on there yet so that they can register it themselves and register themselves as publisher. Because when I put a song up of my non-exclusive stuff, I'm going to list my publishing company
Yeah.
instead of anybody else's. I'm just going to put me as the writer, me as the publisher.
And you could always remove it theoretically if you were, if
Oh,
the
well, they can go in and change it. It just takes
yeah, yeah.
more time for the copyright off, not the copyright office, the PRO to do all the machinations. It's sometimes like up to a month till you see the change online.
Right.
And so if you don't put it into your PRO and you wait till they do it, it'll go up much faster with you as the writer and them as the publisher. So if
Gotcha.
you're focused on sync and that's your only focus, then you may not have to worry about this one right away. But I go ahead and just put it on BMI, just put them up there. It's almost like a bit of copyright to a certain extent. It's a bit of proof of registration of the song that you wrote that there's not a copy of it up there. To me, putting that up on a Pond 5 and putting it up on Spotify and putting it up on a PRO all reasonably at the same time kind of like is security, because you can always point to both those things. Oh, you're going to argue with BMI, Spotify, and YouTube and Pond 5 and you're going to say those are all faked. That's the time I wrote it. That's there. Now, I did have a long conversation about copyright yesterday with a publisher that'll be coming out next Wednesday as well. I hope. And we talk a lot about copyright and what it really means, what it means in America at least, but at least what it means in general as far as when a song is copyrighted, and then how they copyright songs, which I thought was very interesting. You're going to learn how a publisher copyrights songs and when they copyright them. It's pretty interesting. But so add it to a PRO first. Register it to your PRO. Register it with your content ID service after that, whoever it is.
If you want to take that route, I mean, because
If you
content
wanna
ID
take
is
that
sort of
route.
a bigger if than PROs, right? Because it's like you are limiting yourself with content ID, especially with using identify, because you're locking yourself into a 3-year commitment there.
Right. Are there any that we know of that don't lock you in? That I think Song Trader can take them down pretty quickly.
Yeah,
from what I
maybe.
remember.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, just yeah, if you're going down the sync route, then obviously you wouldn't want to register your stuff with identify.
Another thing you may not want to do
Yeah.
if you're going to go down the sync route, if that's your one and only focus. But I have a feeling that people watching this channel are not focused on sync always. Probably not the largest percentage of our audience is thinking sync only.
Yeah, I wonder if you've put a poll out there on that one, haven't you?
Yeah, it'd be good to know. But also with identify and address, yes, you are locking yourself into a year to 3 years with them. But you could also check the content ID box on your distributor.
Right. Yeah.
It costs extra
At
it costs extra
DistroKid,
at
it does.
DistroKid.
Yeah, yeah.
But at CD Baby, it's just a box you click. But I don't think they collect much, to be honest with you.
They probably
Now, I've
don't.
seen
No.
Other people like at AWOL, and they seem to collect pretty well. But I still think that a company like, if you're into Content ID and you think that's going to be an income stream, like we decided it was going to be for ours,
Yeah.
then Identify or AdRev or someplace like that, where that it's like they're going to go after it like a dog want a bone, then I'm going to choose a company like that. So for those of us who are into Content ID, you know that you're going to put a lot of non-exclusive music out to places where it might be used on YouTube. Then after your PRO, Content ID would be next. And then I think you would add it, register it. This isn't registering necessarily, but put it onto your disco or SoundCloud playlist so you can show it off easily to people, friends, family, fans, industry folks, music libraries, sync agents, publishers. You have a place to show it off. That said, I think if you're going down the Pond 5 route, that's not a bad place to show it off. Although You send somebody to Pond 5 and they see your songs on sale for $5, they might not be so impressed. Oh boy,
Well,
sell that song
if you
for
send us,
$5.
yeah, if you send like a supervisor or something like that, like like a like
Yeah, you wouldn't want to send
your
them to
disco
Pond 5.
playlist, and then they all see it on Pond 5, they wouldn't be too stoked about that. I don't think, it's like
Probably not. No,
so
and disco, what's great about that is there's no junk. SoundCloud is fine, and I got my first exclusive library through a SoundCloud email. I sent a SoundCloud playlist, but and it's totally acceptable. But disco is just way more private, way more you can do with it as far as sending it around, and it actually has some discoverability things there for music supervisors and music libraries and things like that.
Yeah, and
So
it
you
doesn't
can
have
get into that.
ads embedded into it. And I mean,
Nope.
I've had a couple of the Academy members send me SoundCloud links for their submissions to the challenges, which is totally fine. Like I don't, it's all good. But then sometimes I'm just met with an advertisement like before I even get to listen to the music. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn you, SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't. Like you said, it's totally acceptable, right? But I think if I'm sending stuff to music supervisors, it's going to be in a disco playlist. It's not that expensive. I think it's like I paid for the annual thing, and it's pretty reasonable, I think.
The only other thing I would add to the register part here is if you are super concerned, and I talked about this in my publishing interview, if you are super concerned about your song and someone quote unquote stealing it or taking it, or you're scared, copyright it. Copyright it. I mean, whatever your country does for copyright, do it. If you're that concerned about it, go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and copyright it and
Mm-hmm.
just register it with your copyright service. And I still feel like putting on PRO or Content ID, or especially up to public places like Spotify or stuff. I think that is I think that is a
It's
good
pretty
enough
good
way
proof
to.
that
Yeah.
you're the author. Yeah, it might not be as legally binding as like an actual copyright, but it's pretty good proof. If it was like, I think it would stand up in court. But I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know.
But somebody could go in and copyright it before you do.
Right,
And then you
exactly.
both have copyrights and their date is before yours. So it's still a he said, she said thing.
Yeah,
So
I just wonder about the likelihood of those kinds of things. We both
they,
heard of like
they don't
crazy,
happen. Well, in
stories
the
like
big leagues,
yeah. At our, I mean, it's never nothing like that's ever happened to me. But we've certainly heard of people talk about this in the Discord, like their material, their songs being stolen and registered with Content ID and put up on Spotify, and it's turned
you
into
know
a big
what?
mess. It's crazy.
Usually I had a student come up to me and said, hey, one of my songs, SoundCloud told me somebody else had it. And I think I told you the story. And it turned out that they
Yeah,
were
they were
both
using a
just
loop.
using the same loop,
Yeah,
from Logic that they had just put in. That was basically the whole song. So
yeah.
I wonder how many of those things are.
Certainly probably lots of situations like that, but I
Yeah.
think that the just outright theft of material and like people uploading it to Spotify content, it's probably fairly rare. But you know what, it's never happened to me. Hopefully it won't. I don't know.
Yeah. And if it is, we probably wouldn't know it.
Probably
And like I said, I can't tell where that one play on YouTube came from that I'm making Content ID money. I don't know where they got that song. Maybe they stole it. Maybe
Oh, that's right.
they
Yeah, because
pulled it off.
you never put it up on the libraries,
Oh,
right?
no, I did. I put it on the libraries, but I don't see a sale of that song
Oh,
on
I
the
see.
places where I can see sales like Pond 5 or Audio Jungle. It has gotten downloads off Motion Array, so it's possible there.
Oh, well.
It's possible on some other places, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. And so I don't
Oh, I
know
see.
for
Yeah. Well, it's
sure. I know
probably
who's
Motion
using
Array.
it. No, I did put it up on Motion Array.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty
That's
sure.
probably where.
All right, so that's registering, and I think that's the first thing you do if you really want to feel good about securing your song as best you can.
Hmm.
And then the next step is how is personal preference. There's two roads that you can go down, and you should go down both. I think especially for non-exclusive stuff, distribution and licensing. So let's say you are hot and heavy to get this thing on Motion Array. Most of us are like, I got to get this new song up to Motion Array. I want to get it. I get more stuff up there. I want to get to Pond 5. I want to get it to wherever else I put music. And so we could do licensing first.
Okay.
So we're talking a non-exclusive song here that you don't plan to put on exclusive licensing. Although, as we'll talk about, you can always change that decision with most non-exclusive libraries.
Hmm.
So you're going to license it to stock music library, starting with Pond 5. If I mean, if you're into Pond 5, I know that's not your biggest thought as far as you're concerned, but for me, and I think for most people doing stock music, I think Pond 5 is a great place to start because it's a great place to copy all the information from once you've put it in there. It helps you discover keywords and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because Motion Array, you have to have all that stuff ready for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do it in Pond 5 first, and then I'll just copy the description and the keywords into Motion Array.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're going to go in and change it. Motion Array changes all that stuff now anyway. But VFine, Motion Elements, all those, VFine now totally does the new version of VFine totally does all that for you. You just put the song up. There's several of them now that you're putting this music case and different ones that you're putting the song up, and they are doing all the descriptions.
Yeah,
and all
gotcha.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Motion Elements and all those, Audio Jungle, if you're in Audio Jungle, there's a bit to fill out there, Song Trader, all that. Put it up everywhere. Add it to Song Trader for music licensing possibilities. People do get music licenses and get deals for their songs through Song Trader, and then they have all those monetization options.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you decide you do want to distribute it, you can distribute through Song Trader, and they seem to do a pretty good job of paying. I just got a payment the other day, and so they seem to pay as well as any DistroKid or CD Baby.
Yeah, right.
So that works out pretty well. Then license to stock, license to Song Trader, license the track to beat stores. If you're a beat store person, if you think your music, and I think your stuff fits in this category, but if you think somebody might like to download your track, and maybe you take out the leads or stuff like that, but they might like to take your track so that they can sing and rap over it and pay you a license and let you get royalties. Like I may have mentioned here, I'm going to be doing a beat store kind of video here soon, but I heard the president talking. He said, and of course he's bragging on his own company, but he said, at any one time, 3 to 4 out of the top 100 songs in the Billboard Top 100 are from BeatStars.
Yeah,
the track is from
pretty
BeatStars.
Crazy.
Because rappers are using that. I know this to be true because every rapper that comes into my class is pulling stuff down from BeatStars and rapping over it and saying, "Look what I made." I'm like, "You didn't make anything. All you did was rap over a track." So yeah, you rapped good, but you didn't make that track. And so I think we could put our things up there, especially the ones that do have kind of a beat to them. They like all sorts of styles up there, not just hip hop. Or they can take your thing and add another hip hop beat to it and then put it out and you get paid on the front end for the use, just like in a stock library, and you get paid on the back end through royalties because they have to include you in the royalties of the song as a co-writer or probably as a co-writer, I think, in those situations.
I don't know how that works. I'm so unfamiliar with BeatStars. Is Clint Jr. not on BeatStars? He messes with that a bit, right? What's his
Anthony
experience?
Clint Jr. Anthony, he absolutely does that. Yeah, he puts all his beats up there. Right. Anything that is non-exclusive or that he told me in our interview that he does for a client, and after the clients, he doesn't let them have it exclusively. He's like, "Yeah, you can do it, but that's my beat. I'm going to put it wherever else I want it, including licensing, including sync, including other things, and
I
Spotify."
Think, like you can up the price for exclusivity. I think, right?
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
And then if you are into this is not something I'm going to do, but you can license for the fourth license. First one is stock. Second one is Song Trader and other non-exclusive things like Crucial Music and things like that. And then you can license to beat stores. And the fourth one is you could license to gaming asset stores like
Game Dev Market.
Stephen Millen talks about, and where your music can be used behind video games people are making. Now here's the big problem for us in that, especially you and me. If you're not a content ID person, then you can go ahead and do this. You can do it all day long, put your music up there. It seems it's a strange, wild, woolly west out there of how people are putting music up there, where they're putting up 100 song packs and things like that.
Yeah, I know.
The quality is up and down and every which way. I'm sure Stephen Millen's is good, but they're a lot of people talking about how bad the quality is at some of these stores.
Yeah.
But then again, you could say that about Pond 5.
They say, yeah, well, you can make that same argument about Pond 5, absolutely. But it's true, man. I've searched through Game Dev Market, and it is the Wild West there, man. I mean, it's crazy. I kind of think, and I really can't speak from experience here because I haven't uploaded anything to Game Dev Market, but I get the sense that if you are like, I don't know if Steve Malin would agree with this, but I have a couple of friends here in Vancouver who are just starting to get their foot in the door with the gaming industry, and what they've been doing, they've said like, no, we're not messing around with the Game Dev Market thing. It's so oversaturated. And there's like a gazillion tracks there. Yeah, Unity, and the quality is all over the place. You don't make a lot of money. What they've been doing is just going on forums, and they're called game jams, right? So like you have all these indie developers who are, they'll get a crew together of people that they meet through these forums, and a lot of it is just like, it's just free, and like and there's no budget. And I have a couple of friends who just started by introducing themselves on these forums, making connections, saying, hey, like, I'm a composer, would love to work on a project. And they do a couple of free projects, and that turns, some heads over time. And people are just like, hey, this guy write some pretty good music. And eventually down the road, one of my close friends here, within a year, he had an offer for a paid project and that was how he kind of got started with it. So there's so many indie game developers, right? There's like a lot. It's a really big thing, and it's become a lot easier and more accessible to make these kinds of games. And I think that there's not always a lot of budget. There's not always a lot of money flying around in these projects, but I think that is a great way to kind of get yourself in the door. But I don't know if I'm not convinced that going the game dev or the Unity route is the right move.
What you just described about people doing that is what Steve Malin does that as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he does like personal things for clients.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I think that's still his main.
It's probably his bread and butter. I would imagine.
Working for clients who employ him personally. But he also has all these things, and because he does so much, he had all these things sitting around, and he just put out a big, huge pack, a 500 piece.
500.
Damn.
And
and they're all individual tunes. I said, are these like stems and stuff? He's like, no. So that's a lot.
He writes them fast.
Maybe they're
that's for sure.
Maybe they're short. Maybe they're very short. Maybe they're piano things.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's another way you can license if you fit into that. I know clients I've had who started in the gaming thing and then came over to stock to take their game stuff into stock and stuff. And so again, you can, however, the caveat to this is if you are in Content ID, you don't want to do this, because these people are going to put stuff in games where people are going to live stream themselves playing these games on YouTube and on Twitch. And Content ID is going to mess them up, and then they're going to be mad at you. So this is, I think, a thing. If you are really heavily into Content ID and sold out to it, and you've just decided I'm doing Content ID, then you might want to stay away from the game market, because the gamers are going to live stream them playing these games, and then they're going to get strikes or claims against their videos, which they're doing their channels to make money. They don't want claims, just like you and I don't want claims on our videos, so. Well,
I mean, you'd be surprised. I mean, again, it comes back to like some people just don't care, right? I mean, I've the synthwave track that I just put up on, like the first synthwave track that I put up on Motion Array, which did really well. Identify showed me a bunch, some of the videos that it's being used at, and a couple of them were streamers, like game streamers. They had it in the background while they were playing video games, and they just don't care, So,
and maybe you make a place on your site that makes it easy for people to whitelist. Identify supposedly as a code, a quick code word that people can type in to get free of that claim.
Right.
From what I understand. So. Anyway, all right, so that's license. I want to move on to distribution. We've registered the song that we made. We've licensed the song that you made. Now let's and all of these could all be done in less time than what we've been talking about it in.
Probably. Well, yeah, less than an hour probably.
So registering and licensing them could all be done in less time than it takes to listen to this podcast.
You could be doing it
But
while you listen to the podcast.
you could, absolutely. But the next step for me in doing everything for them is to distribute them now. You've got to get them out into the digital music stores. And the beautiful thing about non-exclusive music, and in my case, all my sync music, is I have the ability to put all of that on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, YouTube Music, iTunes. These are everywhere. I can push the song with Spotify for Artists and get it into playlists, hopefully get into playlists, hit what do they call that?
Release radar.
Release radar,
Yeah.
and have songs coming out. And so it's another episode to talk about how important is Spotify for Artists, how important is playing that game to possibly get on a curated playlist versus putting up, because you and I both have so much music that, and probably a lot of the people listening have so much music, it would probably be easier for me just to put everything out as albums, because I could create so much. It'd just be easier to put up a jazz album and a piano album and all that kind of stuff, rather than one song at a time every 6 weeks, which I forget to do, and then it never gets up there. But I'm concerned, we keep hearing, but if you get on the Spotify playlist, dude, that's where the money is.
It is where the money. I mean, yeah, I haven't hit any yet. I've been applying to all these playlists like consistently because of the music that I got up on Artlist. They're the distributor for it now, but I still get to pitch it. So it hasn't happened for me yet, but I still have maintained, nearly 2,500 monthly listeners for a long time now, and that is, it's not a big income stream, but it is an income stream. It's still like,
Absolutely.
It works out to be, I don't know, probably like $100 a month or something. I don't know, something around
something.
That. It's not nothing.
So I think we should be distributing these songs. There's no reason, if you're putting songs on stock music licensing or you're putting them on mid-tier libraries and you have the ability to put them up there, you should put them up there.
Totally.
Because if they're being used on anything and somebody Shazams it and listens to it, they might want to go to Spotify and listen to it. And the streaming world is 80 plus % of the way the world listens to music now. And I know it because I teach this. But actually, if you look at last year, the RIAA report of record industry in America, at least, 82 or 3% of the music absorbed by people and bought by people was on streaming. So you've got to get your stuff on streaming. You can develop your own playlist. I know a guy who on our Discord talks about how much he makes, 4 or 5 figures on developing playlists.
Yeah,
most of them are his own songs.
Yes,
and
Andrew Southworth talks a lot about this too. Promoting playlists. He pays to promote playlists, and then he can charge people to be on that playlist because there's enough followers on it that it's like it generates streams, right? So it's a thing.
That guy has a full-time job. When does he have time to do all of these things? He must be single. He's got to be single.
He's got a dog.
I know that. The next thing to distribute is put it on YouTube, and not just as YouTube music, but make a unique YouTube for the song to feature. And maybe it's an easily made video with a DistroKid has some ways to make videos. CD Baby has some ways to make video, or just a lyric video if it's a song lyric video, or just a bunch of graphics that go along with the song. Who is the guy who is on our Discord? It's like OW Synth. Do you know who that person is?
Yeah.
Is he in your thing?
Yeah, I've
I don't know if he's in your community or not.
No, he's not. But I think we're saying his name wrong. I can't remember. I think he's from Europe, but he does well on Motion Array. He writes some great stuff.
He does pretty well. I know I see his name on Motion Array all the time, and his YouTube channel is getting some attraction. It's not getting thousands and thousands of hits, but it's getting hundreds and hundreds on each song. Some have 1,000.
So I was gonna, this is the thing I was gonna suggest on the list. But you've already beat me to it. Was putting it up on YouTube. But a lot of people ask me whether they think that publishing your stock tracks on YouTube is an effective strategy for generating sales on like Pond5 or Audio Jungle. I would say probably it's not the most effective. It doesn't really translate. But I think that, with enough time and enough persistence, putting your stuff on YouTube as a content ID strategy is actually like not a bad idea, you know. If you're offering like a free download of it, with the idea that you're going to get a claim to use it. That's something that Lester has been doing for quite a while now. You know, he gets all of most of his content ID money from people taking the free link on his YouTube channel. He puts all his music up there. So yeah, I don't know. That could be it could be something.
I'm not even sure that my position would not be that it's great for getting content ID money or YouTube money. That YouTube AdSense money or content ID.
No,
I don't
not
even
YouTube
think
AdSense.
It's for those two things.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain guys we know that are on YouTube that are huge audio jungle dudes that are getting
there was a time
hundreds of thousands of plays on their YouTube for their songs. But
totally,
I think this distribution thing is not about even the money you get from Spotify or you get from YouTube or you get from Content ID. I think this distribution thing is about discoverability of your song. Mm-hmm. Spotify alone, by Spotify and YouTube, are the top two discoverable ways that people find your music. They search for a song. This has never been better illustrated than the song last year that I had by a company who was looking for a song about the great outdoors, which I have written a song called The Great Outdoors. As a matter of fact, it just got reabsorbed into this country library that I just sent out. Mm-hmm. And me and another guy wrote it. And they found it by searching Spotify, and they just typed in The Great Outdoors.
There you go.
That was the name of their company.
Yeah.
And they could have done the same thing on YouTube and found the video that we have up of that, The Great Outdoors. And they found the song and they loved it and they wanted to use it. And so to me, the distribution part is more about the discoverability, and any pennies you might make from Spotify or pennies you might make from Content ID on your stuff you put up is way secondary to the possibility that somebody might find your song by searching for that particular topic or song or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's on Spotify. They're being suggested videos all the time on on Spotify, you're being suggested songs all the time. On YouTube, you're being suggested videos all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are right on exactly what you want. Sometimes you're like, why would I want to watch that? Mm-hmm. But that's the discoverability of those two platforms. And I think that's why it's important to distribute all your music as much as you can. And I need to do it more as well.
On YouTube especially. I mean, YouTube is just so discoverable, is probably the most discoverable other than Spotify. But yeah, you know, just so maybe just touch on because I don't know if you remember, but I reached out to you to try to figure out how to claim my because like when I distribute music through DistroKid, I click on the YouTube music, and so it goes to YouTube Music. You can search all my music, my official releases on YouTube, but it automatically it creates a new channel for you, right? So it creates a topic channel. Then you can claim that topic channel as an artist, which I did. So now I have full control of like that YouTube channel. So I can add, like, say if I wanted to like record myself playing a cover of a song or whatever, you know, I could add that to my official artist channel. So now all the music I distribute through DistroKid goes to that official YouTube artist channel, not Stevie B Production Music Academy. It's a totally different account. But yeah, you can do that just for people listening that might be interested in doing that.
And Andrew Southworth does this. He has two channels.
Right.
Unfortunately, they're both called Andrew Southworth, I think. But one of them is maybe called Andrew Southworth Music, but it's right. His actual music videos. Yeah. It's not talking. It's just the music videos.
Yeah.
And so he is certainly doing this. And, you know, I don't have to tell him any of these things. He's doing them all most likely.
Doing it. Yeah.
And then the last thing I have in distribution is one I just started talking about, and that is scoring stuff out and sending it to Arrange Me to get it on the sheet music stores that are online. Mm-hmm. If this makes sense for your music. For corporate music, it's not going to make sense. For, you know, video game music, it's probably not going to make sense. But if you are a piano player and you are doing either arrangements or you are
video
doing
game music might
things,
make sense.
Yeah, maybe. But or maybe you're doing a string quartet arrangement of a video game song,
right.
of a Nintendo
That's what I mean.
song.
Yeah.
You can actually, with ArrangeMe.com, which is where I go through now, they're owned by Hal Leonard, which is a longtime music publisher company entity. Yeah. But you can actually do an arrangement to anything. but you're only going to get paid a few bucks because they will go through and make sure you got the license so you can do a Britney Spears song or a, whoever, a Beyonce song or whatever, and do a piano arrangement to one
Yeah.
of their songs and make money. But you can make more money doing your own original stuff. That's the money I'm seeing, where I can charge $5 or $6 per piano arrangement,
Mm-hmm.
or for this one arrangement I just sent out, which was classical, which was a $40 sale, because it was for arrangement for classical instruments. It was for cello, and so it was a little bit more official and a little bit more to it, because there were four specific players that had scores, and the individual scores came with it as well. So you can charge a lot more for that. I don't think this is as much in the discoverability part, but it
Yeah.
is another possible income stream, and something that you can do. Again, it also, and I, in my video, I stress this, that it takes some skill to know how to make, um, sheet music, because
Yeah.
it's not easy. Even though
Yeah.
Logic has a can literally, Logic can do it. It's just not easy to do it
Yeah.
on Logic.
Right.
It takes a lot of messing around. You really need something more like Sibelius or Finale to be able to go in and make music. But I have a guy who does it for me, and I've also offered it as a service to my clients. So
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's the kind of thing I would never want to mess around with myself, because I'm just not that familiar with with music notation. But I would totally, pay somebody to do that. That would be something that would be
aired
worth.
it out on Fiverr or something
Yeah,
like
exactly,
that.
exactly.
Okay, so we have made a song, we have registered it, we have licensed it, we have distributed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last thing to do is the part that nobody wants to do, and that is to market it. Now, in some ways, you might say that putting it on YouTube is marketing it, and you wouldn't be wrong, but or putting it on your SoundCloud is marketing it. But I'm probably talking more about taking that playlist that you made on Disco or SoundCloud or whatever, or that video that you put on YouTube, and putting it on social media and starting to make small media of it, or I should say vertical media, that you can put on Instagram Reels, that you can put on TikTok, you can put on YouTube Shorts,
Totally.
and you can cross market across all of those. Um, you can put a link up of the video or SoundCloud on your Facebook page or on your personal Facebook to
Mm-hmm.
send to your friends and family. Now, those don't get a lot of reach sometimes because Facebook doesn't like you to leave Facebook, so they don't want you to go to YouTube. But
Yeah.
some people, sometimes you can, or you could load it up directly to Facebook. If it's a video, you can
Yeah,
directly
you can.
upload the video.
That's right. It'll get a lot more reach that way.
A lot more reach. And then, of course, short minute and a half long. Which one does 3 minutes? Is it TikTok that does up to
I
three
think TikTok
minutes?
just expanded it. Yeah, but I can't remember. I think they
One of
do
them
longer
does
than a
three
minute now.
minutes now, but short vertical video,
Yeah.
anything from a few seconds to a minute and a half, and you can release that to Reels. You can release that to TikTok. You can release that to YouTube Shorts,
Mhm.
and other places. Facebook has Shorts now. Facebook has Reels because they're owned by they own Instagram, so that you can have Facebook Reels. You can have. Well, I
Mhm.
think LinkedIn has vertical video now, and if you're a TikTok, a Twitter person, you can put those things on there too, or put links to the TikToks or your
Yeah.
YouTubes. All that kind of stuff is the marketing stuff I'm talking about. It doesn't require constant maintenance. You may get sucked in. That's not what we're talking about. If you get sucked in, that's your own problem. But if you're able to just go in and say, okay, um, I, I've done all the licensing stuff. I've put it out for distribution. It's going to be debuting on Spotify. Now I'm going to make the pieces of video that I need to make and put them out on all the channels. I'm just going to take the same vertical video and I'm going to put it on every one of them.
Mhm.
You can make it on, and you just make the piece of video and then you can just put it everywhere. You don't have to like
Yeah.
redo it
You don't have
for
to redo
every
it.
service.
Yeah.
And then you don't sit there and surf on TikTok for half an hour before you put it on, or after you put it on. You
That's the hard
put it
part.
on, you move on to the next one. It's not hard for me. I don't really engage with that type of media that much.
Mhm.
I do on YouTube,
Yeah.
but I don't on TikTok or Reels that much.
Yeah. I
But
get sucked into those YouTube shorts.
and I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And but You can advertise. And again, our friend Andrew Southworth and our friend Tom Dupree, they talk about in detail, very much detail, about how to advertise on Facebook and on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, if you got the budget
To
for it, 50,
yeah,
$100 a month, you get a lot of reach for your
absolutely.
content. That's for sure.
You can drive people anywhere.
Yeah,
Now that's a case where Facebook will take you anywhere.
totally.
They'll send you to YouTube. They'll send you to your website. They don't care. You're paying them.
Yeah.
So but it's smart to use again that tall vertical video as your ad
Yeah.
for getting them there. And then you can. This is something I think is a gem that Tamara Bubble talked about, and probably the way she does the majority of her business. She has an email list of all the people she is connected with, not just on Instagram, not just on Facebook or certain social medias. She has her own email list of every person that she knows in the industry, every music supervisor, every sync agent,
Mm-hmm.
every one of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And she is able, when she has a new song out, now she may not have done all these things. I think she actually does this first. This is like one of her first steps, because she makes sure that list, she says, guess what? You're going to be the first ones to find out about my newest production every time I get it done.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then she gets the opportunity for a music supervisor to say, stop, I want it, and then once it's out on a TV show, that's when she does all these other things as far as putting out for distribution and marketing and all that kind of stuff, because she is smart. She is interested in getting, bigger bucks right up top. She wants a sync fee. She wants all that kind of stuff.
I don't know if she uses Disco, but for anyone listening, just something to know about Disco is that it actually has an email program built into it. I think you have to pay a little extra or whatever, but you can put that email list, like you're just talking about, you can put that right into Disco and send off that playlist automatically to all your contacts. And that's what I used to do for when I worked for a music label. We used to have a big old list of music supervisors that we would blast out music to, and they were the first to see it. And you could see who opened it. So you can see who listened to it. It's very interesting. And they love, like you said, they love Disco, man, because
they just know it's not going to waste their time. They're going to go there. It's only thing that to do there is listen and maybe respond, but there's no ads, there's no social media, there's nothing going on.
There's no other distractions.
Yeah. And so it is, and they've got a new thing called Discover, where you can actually put your music out for people to search when they're searching for certain kinds of music and find your music. I haven't used it yet, but that's another thing that could be on this list. So gratefully, and probably you're going to be glad to hear this, but I'm done. That's the last one that I had. So but the four major food groups are register it, and after you're done making it, of course, register it, distribute it, license it. Those can be in any order, and then market it. Mm-hmm. And that's what you should be doing with every song. I mean, can we all do it for every song? No. Should we, or could we? Maybe.
Probably.
Especially if you make a lot like you and I do, it might be smarter to not get sucked into the curated playlist game and put out bunches of music at a time, because we make bunches of music at a time that we can put out. But at the same time, you could also play the one song at a time deal. Or if your music doesn't take long to make, like my solo piano music or Dan Barracuda's guitar music, he can afford to do a lot of songs a week and pitch a lot of songs to playlists a week and all that kind of stuff, because it doesn't take him a month to develop a song. It takes him about 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, you can do the one song at a time thing and then repackage it and market it as a bunch of songs. Like that's repurpose the content. And by the way, if you get through this whole list, by the way, and the last thing to do is to give yourself a pat on the back, because that's a job well done.
And then, as who said it in one of my things the other day? Oh, Stephen Talamy in our interview, he said, then stop and get to work on more music.
Yes. That's the very last thing. After giving yourself a pat on the back,
give yourself a pat on the back,
and then get back to work.
Get back to making music now.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is probably, now that I've looked at all this probably could make a nice little ebook, free ebook that I put out. But I do have the 50 ways to make music income thing, but this is more about each what you should do with each song or could do with each song. And especially if you are a one song at a time person and you have a job, you're approaching this as a part-time type of thing. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this video or listening to this podcast are that person.
Yes.
Then maybe this is a way to kind of like get some momentum going with your music by doing one song at a time. Because a lot of times we talk about you only have one song at a time and you're just starting. It's going to take a long time to get traction.
Well, we talk about like
libraries.
Yeah, this is a good point because it's like, yeah, we talk about like packaging, like 7, 10, even more songs together to pitch to libraries and stuff like that. And that just takes so much time, So I think the cool thing about this discussion is you could follow this. You could write a checklist. I'm going to write a checklist as soon as we're done talking here because this is great. I'm surprised I don't have one.
I sent it to you in text.
Oh, perfect.
The entire thing.
Perfect. So try to get as many things as you can off that checklist. And then once, maybe a few months down the road, when you have like 7 to 10 of these songs together, then repackage that as a group of songs or as an album, and then you can pitch that to exclusive or libraries if you want to go the sync route or wherever. So I still think you can get so much done with just one song at a time, rather than just like doing nothing and just working on like getting like 10 perfect songs together over the course of like 6 months. Like it's not really the most effective way to do it. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been a long one, but I hope it's been a helpful one for you. And everybody, just leave any comments in the YouTube. I will probably premiere this on Monday. And so if you are in the chat, make sure you put any comments in. I'm sure you will. But if you can also put them in the comments below. If you're listening on the podcast, go over to the YouTube channel. This will be on the Make Music Income channel, right? This particular podcast.
Yeah, 38.
So so it's my week. So yeah, come over there, leave any comments you got if you're listening to this as a podcast. Make sure you also subscribe and be part of both our channels for the video versions of this in case you and I use YouTube. I've been listening to you and Dave's thing in the car as like a podcast,
I listen to YouTube like without watching the actual video all the time. I listen to like history podcasts and stuff like that just on YouTube. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I got. And
cool.
Thanks, everybody. And we'll talk more about all this kind of stuff as we go. And maybe we can get into more discussions in the comments and stuff like that. But thanks for watching this video and hanging out. I hope you've had a nice, lovely beverage while you watched. And we'll go from there. So see you next time.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.